Is it live?
We are live. Now, I want to say to everyone, and I'm going to always talk to the Zoom screen because this is how our live camera is just viewing my computer screen. So
Correct.
there's always did you take gallery view down by chance? Okay, so for our viewers, Cindi Walker was just on, and what has likely just happened is she had her internet going in and out today, so she's just going to probably pop back in any moment in the participants here. She was here, and then we pressed live, and then her screen dropped. But this gives me a chance to welcome everyone in a new way that our lives are not usually conducted. They're always on site. So last week we were able to just enjoy another, all of our lives are just basically done at a nonprofit or done at a cause of sorts. So last week we were at Big Dog Ranch, which is extremely exciting. And before that we were with Liz Ricci, who is the Parks and Recreation head for the Indian Trails Improvement District. So the project graduation, which is who Cindi Walker is, and she is not working for the school per se, but she is the one who has always organized for many years the actual graduations of Seminole Ridge High School. So this Saturday is the actual parade, and that is going to be held at 9 a.m. And so there has been a lot of work that has gone into this, as Liz Ricci had shared a couple of weeks ago on our live, as to the Parks and Recreation's responsibility to having the pavilion at the Acreage Community Park have its tables enough separated where you can be able to come where the food trucks are going to be, and still be able to have whatever social distancing precautions you want to be able to take. So that's being honored. But starting at Citrus Grove Park on Citrus Grove and Avocado, you're going to have all the seniors meeting there. And that's going to be where they will wear their gowns, they will be wearing their senior t-shirts, and then have a large group photo with how that is orchestrated. And let me just let Cindi back in. So essentially what we're doing today is we're bringing Cindi in to give a little bit of the discussion alive. And I know, Cindi, I just was telling everybody how there's been a little bit of, because of the storm today, we have our internet going in and out. The live was essentially going to be getting held at the Acreage Community Park under the pavilion there, to just kind of bring the environment alive and let people see again the same way we were with Liz Ricci a couple of weeks ago, describing it from the Parks and Recreation side of the formalities that it takes to make sure that a parade like this is able to happen. And so because this Saturday is the actual parade, we wanted to kind of bring it back into the forefront of everyone's understandings of what's happening, what has taken place over the last couple of weeks, and getting the most recent updates to how it would work. So I kind of feel, though, whenever we have our lives, it's always talking about a heart space up and above the actual cause itself, because it comes alive because of the intentions behind the scenes. And so I think that maybe it's nice to speak about this story because it's always a heartfelt story when we have our lives. It brings the community a little bit more to life in a visual way, because a lot of times what we see in social media is a wonderful photo with a lot of smiles, or just a post with some verbiage and text, and people don't really know that took a human behind that post that had a lot of heart to express that post. So it might not get as much attention as really bringing a little bit of life and heart and emotion to the cause. So I know that you had described to me that this year is your daughter's graduation, and that you've been doing this project graduation role for many years. And this was a little extra special because of that, and this is the year you're not able to actually participate in watching her in the way that you were getting ready to watch her. So you're sharing that emotion with all the other alumni parents. And so I think that maybe we can start off by talking about why it is you feel so committed to being a project graduation leader and how that has shown up this year to you.
Okay. Well, I just want to correct you first. First of all, thank you, Chad, for having me here. But it's my granddaughter's graduation, our first grandchild.
Okay, I forgot the grand part, but I guess she's grand nonetheless, either way, but wow. Okay.
Yeah, so we've been waiting many years since she was born for this day, and I was praying that I would be young enough to still do project graduation for her. I've been doing it since her mother graduated, which is our first child. And so, yes, I've been doing it for many years. I absolutely love doing it because it's a way to keep our seniors safe on graduation night, the last time they're all together. Some people, some of the kids might think it's boring to be at project graduation. It turns out it really isn't, because the line to get in is unbelievable. And we've always had a good turnout. And really, it started off just keeping the kids safe on graduation night, to keep them stop drinking and partying and finding that last environment for them before they head off to school. So it's always been a successful event. And so this year, it was a little bit hard because I was sitting here one day at the computer just watching Facebook and looking at everybody, in the same situation that we're all in, and that is that we can't do anything for these seniors who worked so hard to get to this point. And how can we do something different? How can we do something for them by abiding by everything that's around us? And so we came up with the idea. I reached out to Indian Trails first quietly and said, what do you think? Is this something we can do for our seniors? Is it something we can honor our seniors? And so it was like a panic. I was waiting for the reply for 2 days. My heart was beating. Because truth, I've never been told no.
Yes.
So I thought this would be my first no. And I was expecting it. And so when Betty Argue got back and said they agreed, I was just so elated and passed it on to my project graduation parents. And I spoke with them about it. And then we lined it out on how we would arrange it, what's the safest way, what can we do for the seniors, And we decided that the seniors would walk and the other people would be in golf carts following, so we can keep that distance, so we can keep them safe. We do have a company that has donated 300 masks to us that day.
Wow.
So we did send out a flyer asking them to please bring their masks, wear comfortable shoes. We're doing it early in the morning, so it isn't too hot to walk. And there are other people walking too, but the main thing is also getting all the community out to cheer these kids on. And you can keep your distance still by doing that. And so we're praying that we get a good crowd out and our graduates, how much we love them.
Well, I think that just in addition to that, we see a lot of the driving parades for teachers going by their house, or we see birthday gatherings of sorts, and my family actually attended a lot kind of park and decorate, and they surprised a child on his bike to the park and just ride by each of the cars and the friends windows waving at each other. And it really touches my heart, because I have 10 years old. I want them to live a life of innocence, to be able to have the opportunity to live. And so when they have to see their friend and not be able to get out and run is one aspect, but the fact that you can actually park and decorate your car and park alongside the road for these. I think that we just bounced Cindi out and she'll bounce back in. But what everyone is able to do as you're watching this live and getting your thoughts in order as to how you can be supportive and do as Cindi had the vision of creating together with Betty Argue and Liz Ricci with Indian Trails Improvement District and Project Graduation with Seminole Ridge High School, is that it doesn't take a lot to come out of your home at about 8:30 in the morning on Saturday and just park alongside the roads of wherever it's intuitive, with respectfulness to our neighbors, looking to not tear anyone's lawn up of any sort, but from 9 o'clock until it's only going to be about an hour parade, But if you just park your car for about a half an hour to an hour on the side of the road alongside Avocado, coming from Citrus Grove Park down to Acreage Community Park, if you just put a banner that just says congratulations, or a poster board, or even just wave your hands out the window, or play some celebratory type of music out your window, so when these children walk, it is a version of what a graduation ceremony might have otherwise been like if they were to walk across stage and be applauded that way. But I think that when time comes to pass, these 18-year-olds, for all general purposes of age reference, they're going to look back when they're 40 years old, talking to their children as well and encouraging them to stay in school and do your best and persevere. They're going to have a story to tell that's going to talk about how their community circled around them and made sure that they felt proud of themselves for the path that they traveled for the period of time of school. We spoke with Liz Ricci a couple of weeks ago, as I mentioned, and we spoke to the point of how there are so many different types of children and children personalities and paths that children have through school, and that slogan of stay in school is not always the easiest for every child to actually persevere through due to household circumstances or aptitude. And so when they actually get to this graduation point, it's quite something to be celebrated. There was a little story I read this week with Dolly Parton, how she donated her, I think, millionth book or something like that. But she had a cause, and I'm just going back to memory because it's coming up in my mind right now, that she lived in a town where there was a very low graduation rate. There was a high dropout rate. And so she made a basis where she said, okay, here's a buddy program. Choose a buddy through school years, and if both of you graduate high school, I will give the two of you $500 when you walk the stage. And the graduation rate went up tremendously. She also put a program in that from kindergarten, from pre-K, I believe, or from birth until they enter pre-K, she was also mailing a book to the households of those children, so then there could be the habit of reading to be instilled in those households in a particular neighborhood of challenge. So it does sometimes land on the shoulders of a community that cares to rise to a certain occasion that might not otherwise be thought of except for people like Cindi Walker or Betty Argue or Liz Ricci to be able to create this for them. I remember that going back about a month, which is my little path to humbly being involved a little bit in this process, was that our office sponsored the Future Business Leaders of America within Seminole Ridge this past school year. And so we're very big into supporting our community in many ways. But I reached out to Candy Ashurst and just said, we'd like to maybe put a banner together with the children's names on it, put it on the Seminole Ridge High School's fence and so forth. And then everything backdoored its way back into Cindi Walker's hands, who was already conducting some sort of organizing of an intention. But one thing that is really important is that when we have intention, that's the seed to the growth of an opportunity to really bring about a dream to come true. So everything starts with intention. So that moment that Cindi just described, that she made the phone call to Indian Trails and asked whether this was a parade that was able to be conducted with participation of the organization within Parks and Recreation of Indian Trails Improvement District, that she was expecting a no, because sometimes you just have to know that the word no backwards is on, and therefore you're going onward. You have to pursue what you think might be no to realize that it really is bigger than a no, but that if you don't ask, you're not going to ever even have a chance to have whatever it is you think your vision is. So that speaks to my heart greatly, because we persevere enormously in what we do to be part of our community. But that story of Cindi's, there's so many of you out there that are going to watch this live now or watch this in hindsight as it gets shared forward in postings. But the heart spaces of perseverance and of personal dedication and being one that sets goals for yourselves, our community of Loxhatch and the Acreage is such a private type of community of intention, of green space, of rural, of equestrian, and we are in the middle of feeling that we are being encroached upon a bit by development that's going on. And whether that's whatever opinion is of that particular evolution, it is still a time where we have the opportunity to regroup ourselves and say, okay, well, if we're going to be the community that we always believe we are, then what is that going to now look like, as we need to maybe unite a little deeper, a little further, and a little bit more intentionally to not just take for granted that we are a rural community, but the families that are within this community have a lot of graduates, have hundreds, almost 500 graduates. And so that is something that we can. And so if you can come out at 9 o'clock in the morning, as the parade starts, come to Citrus Grove Park or any of the areas that are towards Acreage, down 140th. That is, I meant to say 140th before, so just know the coordinate. This is on the Indian Trails Improvement District website, and we are publicizing it forward on our Causes United Loxatcha the Acreage site, and we will be sure to share forward everything for the information, as now we are just days away from that parade. So just get a piece of poster board. I know that we have a rainy season that is upon us right now, but rain or shine, where there's a will, there's a way. So even though today our live broadcast was supposed to happen from the Acreage Community Park, from under the pavilion there, the rains were so intense that Cindi and I thought, well, we can't just go and try to park and then run in the torrential rain and put ourselves under a pavilion. There's got to be another way, so we made this Zoom call take place. Meanwhile, she has no internet in her home, and the Zoom call is kind of popping in and out. But the main part of what just took place is she was able to get onto the Zoom call for long enough. If she doesn't pop back in, we'll appreciate nonetheless that she was able to make that cameo appearance to speak about the heart that is behind the effort she made, together with the unification of the Indian Trails Improvement District. So here's Cindi again, and she was able to pop back in. I can only imagine what it feels like when your Zoom call pops out and you're like, no, I'm in the middle of talking. But because the intention is here to communicate something that is of heart to our audience, it feels natural for me to just speak forward what I already knew you were talking on the points of, and just to kind of bring it forward where I communicated to everyone that Saturday at 9 a.m. is, as you were saying, the time of the parade, but that in the same ways that all these little parades are taking place, driving in front of teachers' homes, parking in a parking lot and letting a child come and be celebrated, it's a very simple thing to get in your car and park alongside the road of 140th Avenue from Citrus Grove Park down to Acreage Community Park, to simply, even if you don't have a senior, these children are the children walking your streets in your community, either feeling good about themselves or feeling desperate about themselves. So for you to help uplift an entire community of our next generation is almost just like a responsibility as a community to try to do our best to do that. So this is not just an invitation to the families of Seminole Ridge High School graduates, but also to all the community family. If you can crowd that street in a responsible way with parallel parking for 1 hour of that Saturday morning, that's going to be a story to be told that's going to be very inspiring to the children in the least, and uplifting, I think, to the adult community also, during a time where we feel so, I was explaining, a little bit encroached upon because of all the changes taking place in our community, that when the community comes together, it feels really good. And so this is one of those opportunities to rise into a feel-good moment, and it's on behalf of the next generation. So now that you're in, before your Zoom might pop back out, share a little bit more about what you feel the details are that might need to be communicated forward about Saturday.
I will, but right now I just want to say real quick that in response to a couple things, we live in such uncertainty times right now, and I thank you, Chad, for being able to get this out there, but we have one of the best communities ever. I moved here 20 years ago from California and was really uncertain if I was in the right community, because it was so different from where I lived before, when your houses are right next to each other and then you move out to where you're 2 acres apart. But we have one of the best communities, and I hate when I go to other communities and they go, "Oh, you live in Loxahatchee," or they have all kinds of names. But I still say we have one of the best, because whenever something happens out here, I have never seen such a community come together the way ours have. And so I'm hoping they do come out on Saturday. So Saturday morning, we have the seniors meeting us at 8 o'clock in the morning. As they're getting out of the cars, we have volunteers, parent volunteers out there, lining the students up right away, because we want to get them in line, get them distance a little bit from each other, and so forth. So we get the parade started exactly at 9 o'clock in hitting the road. So we have a couple of business partners that are involved, such as yours, locally, that have helped us out throughout the years. We have them in the parade that are giving support. So it's really the main focus is the seniors walking in their cap and gown, because this may be the last time they can walk in their cap and gown in front of their families and friends and community. And so I'm hoping that the seniors really enjoy this time. It's not a lot of time together, but it's at least a little bit of time together.
It's also a parade of celebration. It's not to be understated what it will feel like for those teenagers, because it's one thing to be in an auditorium where everyone is sitting down in an auditorium watching the respective child walk across the stage, or a young adult walk across the stage and be applauded, and then sit back down, and then everybody all at once throws their hat in the air of sorts. This is literally like a walk. This is like you have a pilgrimage that you are actually walking, and there are many pilgrimages that there's labyrinths, there's meditation walks, there are those sort of intentional efforts that are sometimes made that this might be very meditative and offering perspective that child, while they walk that 1 mile, might have a lot of thoughts go through their head. They're going to reflect on their history, they're going to reflect on their families, and they're going to be fed with the excitement of anyone who's cheering alongside the road, that you don't see the stranger 10, 20 rows back in an auditorium. You're going to be front row to every one of those cars waving at you and applauding at you. I think that the people that are going to be in the cars are going to have sore hands at the end of it all for clapping their hands so many times. I mean, that's going to be really emotional, I think, for a lot of these children to, at first, they're going to be like, okay, I'm walking in a parade. A half mile into that walk, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, these people love all of us. And that's really moving.
Right. And I think the students, you're right, it is a celebration, and a well-deserved celebration. We have such wonderful kids out here. And let me tell you, every time I've gone to volunteer at the school, every time you do something for the kids, it just amazes you, and every kid says thank you. Every kid said they're so appreciative. So I think with this parade, they'll see and especially from the families are just so excited too to be able to celebrate with the community. And you're right, it is a celebration. It's a celebration that they well deserve.
Yes, and it's going to give them their time to think deep thoughts as well. Because a deep thinker really, that's what pulls you through those uncertain times of that next decade that you go into when you leave school, or when you leave high school, that is. So
correct.
Now I know that there was, the meeting that was held the other day, that there's going to be food trucks at the Acreage Community Park. Are there certain areas of focused parking that you prefer people to park along, or any details like that?
I do know that Indian Trails is opening up the roads and letting neighbors know that we'll be parking alongside the roads. We can park inside the community park. We do have a DJ there at Community Fields. It sounds lightly, but we will have like a few snacks for the seniors and a couple cakes out there for them to enjoy. We can't stay at the fields too long, and while they're there, we're just asking if they wear a mask if they're conversing with their schoolmates. It's sometimes they put a mask on while they're talking and adhering to that part. I think everything's going to go great. So we have 3 food trucks. We'll have a DJ out there, some snacks out there for them, and just hope that they can enjoy the time that they have there.
Yes, so let's just say that for those that are going to watch this video in the next couple of days in various, Locks Life Locals and Acreage Speaks and many of the different Facebook groups, if they just say, oh, you've inspired me, I want to go and drive out there and just park alongside the road, maybe there's a more along the lines of Orange Boulevard down, but I know that there's also some golf cart driving for maybe seniors or children with special needs and things along that line. So if there's any, there's Citrus Grove Park, and probably within a few blocks of that specific part of it, and then it's almost like the trunk or treat, where there's cars and lineup, but there's respect to the neighbors and the yards. No one's going to be peeling out in anyone's front yard. They might not park fully on the grass. They might be a little bit in the road or something. So there's going to be lawful attention to that sort of behavior. And it's going to be a 1 mile walk. It's going to take that period of time. And then once they get to the end at the Acreage Community Park, there are the modest festivities and opportunity to congregate for up to an hour period of time there. But there's going to be, the general focus points of like certain corners that might have a little bit more need for attention. It's to the discretion of the driver, I imagine, to where they're parking.
Right. Well, I would suggest to the people that are coming out, really, that when they reach the acreage fields, I call it acreage fields, I've called it my whole life, it's community park. When they reach community park, we want the seniors to be able to enjoy that time there. There won't be a lot of outside the families be able to come and pick them up, a lot of room for anybody else to come. We really would prefer they didn't come into that part of it. But definitely, I wanted to let you know, there is an area that we are saving for grandparent parking.
Perfect.
And it's right by Acreage Community Park. So we are going to make that part right there for grandparent parking so that they can get up and personal and be able to see their grandchild walk. So it's closer to community fields. And it's right by community fields is where it's going to be. So right when the parade almost ends is where the grandparent parking is going to be.
Right.
So designated for that. But as far as getting into the park, I think because the amount of students, it's going to be hard for anybody just to do that. We would prefer to do like doing with Citrus Grove. It's a drop. You drop your student off, and then you go find parking along the parade route to be able to see your student walk.
Right, and the parade route is 140th.
Yeah, the parade route is from Citrus Grove Park up to 140th, and then 140th across the community.
Right. Okay. So just everybody make that note. What I'll do is I will put that within the post that gets shared forward with like specific details like that of the beginning point, the cross points, and the end point with a couple little notes of request. So then at least that piece of information goes forward.
Correct. And like I said, like you said earlier, it's such a celebration. It gives a time for them to, contemplate the next step, because a lot of these students, with goals to go on to colleges and stuff, we don't know yet what's going to happen as far as them being able, like our own granddaughter's going to Tennessee. So she's still planning on leaving to go to Tennessee. We don't know if they're going to have to do it virtually for a little bit before they can get into the classroom. Nobody knows yet. And hopefully that information will come out soon from the colleges.
And that takes a lot of stamina for a child to say, let me keep my goals going. Let me not give up. Let me not take a year or two off and then think I'm going to get back to it. Because sometimes you never do. Or you do it in different ways. Right now there's a momentum for their confidence to maintain. And so I think that this is just one of those opportunities. I know that because everyone might see the rainy clouds and everything, to me, I love poetry. I love philosophy. So I'm just like, you know what? Dark clouds don't mean anything. They just mean there might be some water in the sky, but there's flowers that are growing from that. So big deal, move on. You've got a parade going on. You're going to be sitting in your car anyway. If anything, the students might want to bring an umbrella or a rain, coat or something like that. But it's not for the attendees. So if you're going to attend just to cheer on, and you're there at 9 o'clock, and you just give an hour of your day on Saturday for that, just to celebrate, rain or shine, it's happening. And so you can park, and you can still wave out a window, no big deal. And that was exactly what happened to that child's birthday parking parade this past weekend, that the mom was sending out like updates on the event, and I just responded. I was like, we're in cars anyway. Let him have that moment of that excitement. And she was like, okay, rain or shine, we're doing it. So same thing here. I would just say we're all rocking and rolling. We're there to be applauding. It's not rocket science. It's just a matter of making everybody smile. And if anything, you're singing in the rain. Big deal. So, I think it's all good. I think the DJ everything will just come off without a hitch, and you just keep your shoulders back, your chin up, your sincerity forward, and be a community that you know you're great being such. So.
And Chad, I just want to say something also. It's so funny because I was really inspired by my daughter Samantha, who is actually Nomad Fitness out there. She came up to me one day because she was our first graduating class out of Seminole Ridge High School in 2007. And she goes, I can't believe we can't do something. I can't believe there's nothing going on. There's got to be something. You've got to be able to hold some kind of something for these kids. They work so hard. And so that's a previous student saying that. So that's where my thought process, then she came up and I go, that's not a bad idea. Let me see how we can put the wheels in motion. So this is a past student, so concerned with the future of the next generation coming up and saying, we've got to do something because it is true. These past 2 months, we've all been in our houses. We've been secluded. We thank goodness for internet when it's working. Thank goodness for all that stuff that they've been able to still communicate, still be out there, still see like a breath of fresh air. And I think this parade will give them that step also that we're looking for. So they feel, like you said, that the celebratory as they're walking down the streets and the neighbors are cheering them on. And I do believe it's not going to rain at 9 o'clock in the morning.
No, it's not. I've only seen a forecast of late afternoons. But I think that what people sometimes see is they look at the weather reports and they see that it's all there, but it's really later in the day and all of that. And this was intended to be an early morning parade for many reasons, that there wouldn't be heat, that it would be low traffic, and it was a good choice because it's also not forecasted to have rain in the morning either. But what I comment to when I say that is, I always know, because when you have a lot of people that are always part of your world, you never know who makes an excuse at the last minute. And I just want to kind of give an excuse to the excuse to just say, don't let yourself feel that way. If right now, because this video is happening, you feel inspired to do it, then throw yourself an alarm on your calendar in your phone and listen to that alarm when it's 8 a.m. to say get out the door by 8:15, 8:20, and go be parked somewhere to cheer somebody on and make a difference to someone. And I think that's what we're promoting here today.
And I do appreciate that so much because, meeting with the business members and meeting with Indian Trails, it's so nice for all of them to collaborate together to make this happen. I do want to say that Dr. Campbell, I just love him. He's one of the best principals. He's heartbroken because he could be a part of it because the school district isn't allowing this to happen.
Right.
Not for this to happen, but they're not allowing it. We can't be on school grounds. We can't be close to the school at all. It's done by the district, and it's all about liability, and so it's very hard for them. But I know that Dr. Campbell, in messages, I know that it breaks his heart that he's not, on the planning stages, trying to help us out here for this parade because this group right here, he was the principal at Acreage Pines when they were there.
Oh, so, wow. Okay.
So this group means a lot to him. It isn't just any group either. It just, he was their principal, and it's funny to hear some of the kids talk. Yeah, he was my principal at Acreage Pines.
Oh, wow. I'll speak to that point too, because there's always, in any person who is a person of service, they have those behind the closed door conversations where a child may feel like giving up, and it's because of that conversation or the guidance counselor that encourages a child to not give up, to persevere in the face of difficulty. And to be that person, like you're speaking of Dr. Campbell, to be that person who encouraged someone to not give up that now has actually reached that finish line and they're not allowed to actually be there to give that diploma, to shake that hand, to make that name announcement, that's got to be touching to a person that is naturally of service. And I just think that it's a beautiful thing. I love how everything that even, when you're saying you made that phone call and that you got the call back, yes, from Betty Argue, that they would participate in trying to help this happen and that you have this initiative. I know that Candy Ashurst was posting pictures of like how graduation day is the most beautiful day because she sees the students that she helped come over and they all say thank you, and that she's not going to be able to experience it that way right now. And I know that the little intention that I had that led me to a conversation with Candy because of supporting the FBLA led me to you, and now I've got you, in my life. And And when these wonderful people of the community continue to seek out supporting one another and then meet the others that are also supporting the community, that momentum, if we continue to have that be our intention of how we can come together in all our local causes and establishments and really have that, it's not just made in the USA, it's made in Loxahatchee acreage. It's like you've got to think of that kind of mentality if you're really going to be the ones who are going to lift each other up to a community that kind of is an identity all its own. So, Dr. Campbell, I hope that somehow he's able to be behind a, who's that masked man anyway kind of thing, because he's got to be like, yay, that beautiful moment still happening, that, you still, or whether he sees it on film or whatever can be done, I'm sure that there will be a ton of people posting posts, and this, you've really brought a beautiful, you and Indian Trails and the movement behind it are just going to see this as a beautiful story to be told, and I hope that everyone's just going to be with bells on, and when those posts go out, that it gets shared forward, and that this community really just has happy dialogue with all the responses that will come in with the loves and the likes and the cares and the emojis and everything. Let's just, bring it off without a hitch, bring it off with celebration, applaud everyone that loves as big as you love to make this actually have happened, and let those children ride the wave of love and let the community be the wind beneath their wings.
That is correct, and thank you so much. I also want to point out that this week was senior checkout at the high school, and I'm sure you've seen some videos on where they decorate the parking lot, the administrators, so kudos to those administrators who are trying their hardest to make it as normal as possible in a normal situation. And every car that drove up, you could see them cheering them on, and it's just amazing. I wish my granddaughter would let me drive her over there for senior checkout, but she didn't want me to.
I saw. Did she wear your senior prom dress?
She wore my daughter's senior prom dress.
Yes, that's what I thought I saw. That was fantastic.
Yes. That's another thing. Their show, the Grease, was supposed to go on, and my daughter 30 years ago was in Grease in her high school play, and then her daughter now is going to be in Grease, which will never be seen, which is also heartbreaking. But you know what? But if you look at all the pictures, how the kids came together, they got their prom dresses on. Some families had prom at their house, some families, and that's like another way of that moment in their life that they're. I don't want to say cheated out, because it's the wrong word. It's just that they were unable to accomplish that part. But it's all right. They're all going to come out of this in such a different way. This is our next generation. So we've got to, we're teaching them how to prevail against uncertainty, uncertain times. And they're doing that. And so I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do for us in the future.
Yes, exactly. Pressure makes diamonds. And when you're left without an answer and you have to seek that answer and dig down deep, you're twice as strong for it. I know that our path, every path I've been on for my entire life, I'm just always like, okay, God, it's you and me. Let's do this. So this is another one of those moments that I'm watching it in action. It's how I am grateful to live. And so it's just nice that, like minds are attracted to one another and just hold hands and walk the walk.
Right. And I do, and I'm so grateful to our businesses, our community, this is the first time Indian Trails and the school, was Seminole Ridge, we'll just say the seniors have gotten together like this. This is a great thing for Indian Trails too, because I think wherever you go, no matter what you do or what you try to do, you're always going to have your positives and your negatives. So you got to stay focused on the positives, turn the negatives to positives, or try to have them see a different way of it rather than, this could happen, anything could happen. We've already seen that. So it's important that we're teaching our seniors who are going off to college, like I said earlier, that are the future, to be able to get over this and then make lemonade out of lemons. And they certainly are learning that faster than we did.
Yes.
It took us years to do that, but
well, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is it takes you, your 20s are sometimes the decade it takes for you to realize what you could have realized if you just kind of had a different perspective when you were a teenager. So I think that this is one of those rising moments that even in these discussions, any teenager that's going to listen to this is going to be like, okay, well, maybe I don't have to spend 10 years trying to make it all just what I think I can when I can be part of a whole movement of positive energy.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you are absolutely correct in saying that. I love it, though. It's exciting. Excited.
Yeah, well, I know you have a banner behind you that's going to be getting held. Can you show it to us a little bit? And
I can't. It's a little crooked.
Yeah, that's okay. You know what? We're not making a movie here, but
yeah. So but I have two incoming freshman children. They are going to actually be carrying this. So they're leaving Western Pines, and they will be carrying this in front of the seniors.
Beautiful.
We didn't want the seniors to have any work.
I think it's fantastic. That's a beautiful banner. Well, yes. Anyone who's able to make your banners or make a poster board or anything, it's a beautiful thing to be able to just put anything that says congratulations as a banner on the side. You know, just roll down one window and stick the banner in there and roll down the other window and get it propped up between your windows, whatever tape you've got, or even just a nice congratulations clap, and then you're all good. Well, Cindi, I appreciate you making this happen. I know we were supposed to meet at the park, and we just pulled a Zoom call out of our hat and still brought forth our information to the community, and I hope that everyone out there in live land or in video land is able to really just have enjoyed this dialogue that you and I have had. I know that you have had a lot of meetings to try to put this all together with Indian Trails, and so thank you to everybody who was behind the scenes. And now, as Saturday comes forward, we'll see you at 9 o'clock on 140th from Citrus Grove down to Acreage Community Park, and we'll post this forward in all the environments that we can with those details. So
thank you so much. I just wanted to say real quick before we leave that congratulations to all the senior parents out there and your families. This is a wonderful day. And also to my Project Grad group, who also behind the scenes has been working with me and helping getting the waters in and all the donations in. So I wanted to thank them as well. So if you saw any flocking signs out there, that was part of Project Grad and helping to raise some funds that we normally raise about $20,000 a year. This year we were only able to raise about $3,000, and because of the COVID, so we were able to put some of the money to use to help doing the parade and stuff. So, but thank you again to my Project Grad parents, because they meet twice a month at school with me, and started out last August, and then it led us to this point. But they're just a wonderful group of people, so I wanted to thank them as well.
And it's a great tribute to make. I look forward to seeing what this shapes up into, because it's just a beautiful energy to be amongst. And so let's just look forward to seeing everybody out there at those coordinates. We'll post forward everything that we can along the way. I know that we're just looking to meet in person, but we keep on having to Zoom ourselves. So this is the way of the world for a little while, and we'll make the best of it. But that's what we all do. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today, and thank you, Cindi, for being here and being all that you are. We'll see you then on Saturday. Rise and shine. All right. Take it easy, everyone.